Well, we've made it. New house, first time ever actually moving into a place of my own. New studio. We're going to do a room tour or pretty much a place tour here this week. But it's not all done yet. I still got some things to do. This might not be the permanent studio. Like, I'm obviously going to put some posters in the background. Have a shelf right here with some Funko Pops. Bunch of stuff still needs fixed. We are 5, maybe 6 days into July. I got to put out my ranking of the June movies. Now, June has been a terrible month. Whether it was the week that I was gone, where obviously I came back, my basement was flooded, so I was dealing with this and all the stuff that comes with having to buy a new house or a trailer, really. Again, we'll talk about that here in a different video. But having to do that, to having starting a new job for my career, or just still having that church internship as a leader that I am doing this summer. I didn't watch many movies. I only saw 5 new releases, and there's one that I would give 4 stars. That's the highest rated, and you'll find out what that is at the end of the video when I give you my number 1. But before I dive into my ranking of the June films, if you would, hit the like button, the bell, and the comment down below. What is your ranking of all the movies in June that you've seen? And subscribe. So, to help me get to 300. We're 30 away from 300, trying to get to 300 by the end of the summer. And with that said, long intro out of the way, number 5, we are going with Supergirl. This is a movie that originally, as soon as I was done watching the movie, I had it at the 3 spot. A day later, it dropped to the 4 spot, and eventually dropped to the 5 spot. I started with saying 3 stars, went to 2.5, then went to 2. This is a movie that only drops in time in my memory. There are some things I enjoyed. The stuff on Krypton I thought was pretty great, honestly. I thought learning more of the lore in this DC universe, the Superman lore or the Supergirl lore, I thought it was really interesting. I loved how they doubled down on the interesting decision that was made in the Superman from last year. I loved all that. I think Lobo, great addition, and I think this is exactly how Lobo should be inside of this universe. Just kind of this guy that shows up on these space adventures. I even think that Clark Kent, Superman's, like the way they put him in this movie, I thought was done really, really well. With that said, this stands for everything that I hate about the modern comic book movie, where it is very clearly a very generic and bland and typical comic book movie. We've seen this 100 times, right? We've seen this probably 1,000 times. There's not 1,000 comic book movies, but you know what I mean. Where it's a superhero, they go on this little adventure, it's got some kind of emotions, generic action sequences. It doesn't do anything to reshape the genre. And that in and of itself makes it a fine watch, but it doesn't last well in my memory. And then besides that, this is a film that the action sequences don't have any style to it. The score is not memorable. It's bland. It doesn't have any color whatsoever. And the script is really bad, and it hurts when the main goal of this DC universe that James Gunn said at the beginning of this universe, what he said was, every project is not going to get made until we have a perfect script. And what do you do in this one? Oh, your character arc with Supergirl is she doesn't want Ruth to kill the guy, so she waits 2 seconds later to kill the guy. Like, Ruth turns around and Supergirl kills him after there's this big dramatic moment about not killing him. She's just like, okay, you don't get to kill him. I do, but it's good for you. No, it's not. It makes no sense. It's unbelievably stupid. The needle drops are just somewhat offensive in this movie, where you just have this awful, awful needle drop in the back half of the film. It's bad. It is so bad in that aspect. And it sucks, because there's some things that I did enjoy about this movie, and what really sucks is that there are people saying that the DCU is dead. It's not dead. I don't firmly believe it's dead. I think we need to reevaluate the way we're looking at it. Like, we're pushing forward projects like Deathstroke and Bane. Like, that's a project I'm interested in seeing, but Batman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, that's what I want to see. And instead, what are we actually getting? We are getting Supergirl, which is a very generic superhero movie. We're getting Clayface, which I am extremely excited for. No hate towards Clayface whatsoever. And then we're getting a sequel to Superman. It's just all Superman. We're not expanding the world. What we need to do to somewhat save this universe, if it needs saving already, put Robert Pattinson's Batman in the DCU. That way, you have a Batman established, you have a Superman established. Boom. That creates excitement. Because all the excitement we got from last summer is gone because of how generic and bland the second film of the DCU was. Number 4, we're going with Masters of the Universe. Now, there's a lot of things I loved about this movie. I think the cast is great. Idris Elba gives, I think, one of my favorite performances of him. I thought he was quite charming, funny, had those emotional moments. But obviously, you got to talk about Jared Leto here, who gives his best performance ever as Skeletor. And saying Jared Leto gives a great performance seems insane, but it's true. He captures the evil nature while the comedic goofiness of the character perfectly captured. He-Man himself, really, really great. There are some good action sequences in here. There's a oneer in the middle part of this movie that I thought was great. The world looks really good. The score is good. It's got a nice tone. The sense of humor was quite funny at times. My issue with this film is that despite all that being entertaining, it just ended up being another generic blockbuster movie. You've seen this movie before, right? It reminded me of every single Transformers movie, which is fair because Travis Knight directed Bumblebee and he directed this one. So it gives off that vibe. It is the exact same summer movie that you've seen 1,000 times. The first thought that my brother had was, well, I've seen this before. First thought that I had was, it's just kind of generic. And now, pause. If you hear a boom, it's July 5th when I'm filming this. So they're still shooting off fireworks outside, okay? But anyways, it's just generic. It doesn't do anything special or anything to fully capture my attention. So once we get to the halfway point of this movie, I'm like, okay, I'm a little over the shtick. Another thing is the sense of humor throws off a lot of the movie. There are like 2 action sequences and emotional sequences that are completely ruined because the film threw in an unfunny joke. Like one, the sequence where he does go for the first time, I have the power, is not efficient because the whole point of the scene was, I'm going to talk it out with a bad guy. And then it goes wrong. And it's just not funny. And it just kind of ruined the scene. And that's pretty much the part of the movie where I'm like, okay, seen this before. I could tell you everything that was going to happen throughout this entire movie from the very beginning. Now, I'm a fan of blockbusters. Am I curious where we're going with post-credit scenes? Yes. I thought it was fine. Like, it's a fine watch. Probably would like it better if I watched it at home. Number 3, we're going with Toy Story 5. Now, this is a film that I was nervous for while also excited for because I think the aspect that we're going with in a Toy Story movie, the toys fight against toys or against electronics, I thought was a really good aspect. But again, it's Toy Story 5, and the franchise a lot of people think should have ended at 3. While I think 4 is really good, I still somewhat agree it should have ended at 3. Now, there are a lot of things, like I said, that this movie does that I love. The emotions is one. That one sequence with Jessie, I think everybody cried. Like, I think everybody teared up a little bit. I did. I think it would have hit me even harder if I was a parent, but I didn't fully on cry. I didn't fully on sob, but I teared up a bit during that sequence. The emotions, just like they do in all of these films, are very effective in this movie. The animation is gorgeous. The playtime sequences have this little artistic flair to it, which I thought was pretty great, actually. And obviously the voice cast is a lot of fun. The chemistry is a lot of fun. The story, I thought, had some good moments along there. And it's a completely watchable movie. Like, this is not a movie that I was bored at all. It's a completely watchable film. The story at times can feel a bit generic, but it's Pixar. So, obviously, as a massive Pixar fan, I got somewhat what I wanted out of it. I will say, the magic is a little bit gone from Toy Story. It is not as good as Toy Story 1, 3, or even 4. I'm just going to throw it out there. I think 4 is better than 2. I have a ranking on the channel if you want to check it out. I probably put it up here somewhere at the beginning of the video. But it it kind of lost the magic a little bit for me. Where, yeah, the story's good. Yeah, there's emotions. Yeah, it can be funny. It's watchable. But it doesn't have that spark. And the big issue here is kind of the script, where it's not a bad script by any way of the word, but it's not a perfect script either, where every inclusion of the character, Woody shouldn't have even been in this movie, and I'll stand by that word, where what he does in this movie is bicker with Buzz for one scene and then just stands there like, you guys are doing such a good job. You take him out of the movie, story doesn't change whatsoever. He doesn't have an arc, he doesn't have anything, and it kind of erases that arc he had at the end of 4. But like I said, I can't hate this movie. I can't hate on this movie. It's Toy Story. A lot of families are loving it. It's pretty much already made $1 billion. It's like $100 away from making $1 billion. So, like, it's already making some money. Worked for the audience. It worked somewhat for me. Just gotta say, it's the worst Toy Story movie. I just looked outside. They're shooting fireworks just a little bit that way. So I don't know how the audio sounds, but I would just like to apologize again for the loud banging. I'm already 25 minutes into recording this video, so don't really want to save it for another day. So, my apologies. But my runner-up, my number 2 of June, and one of the biggest surprises of the year so far for me is Scary Movie. I didn't like the trailers. Wasn't looking forward to this one. I'm not the biggest comedy movie guy. When I watch comedy, it's mainly on YouTube or on Instagram Reels. When I watch a movie, I prefer them more serious, like movies that have a little bit more substance to them. I'm not the biggest comedy guy. So I went in because I wanted to watch one more movie to make it 5 for this ranking. And I watched it, and I was not looking forward to it. I had a blast. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. And it might be because of the stressful situation. Obviously, my basement flooded that I lived in. I had to get a new house. All the stresses that come with that, the new job. But I had a blast. This is probably the most fun I've had at any movie. Obviously, it's my number 2. There's a better movie. But it's probably the most fun I had at any movie that released this month. And the thing is, comedy is extremely subjective, right? If you don't find something funny, that's on you. Like, I can't sit here and tell you, the movie was so funny, because we each have different senses of humor. But the movie, it has some really good jokes that I laughed at, and I laughed at this movie probably 75% of the time. There's a 25% that the jokes are cringe and kind of ill taste, and I just didn't laugh at all. But the ratio from I'm laughing to I'm cringing is laughing much more than I'm cringing. Not to spoil a lot of the jokes, but the references that they make to certain horror movies I thought were really clever. There's one like with Get Out and K-Pop Demon Hunters that I just laughed at. A Longlegs one was really good. White Chicks reference. There's so many references that I didn't think is like the smartest thing in the world, but like for this dumb, goofy movie, were very clever that I did laugh at. Obviously, it's not a movie that's going to have any character arcs. The Ghostface reveal, yes, is much better than the Ghostface reveal in Scream 7. Not saying the reveal in Scream 7 is good. It's just because Scream 7 is awful. This one, there's not any, story thing of substance. But if you want to have a good time, you're a horror movie fan, watch it and laugh. I would say that I think this movie probably would have worked better if it released closer to Scream 2022. Because it basically goes through the events of that movie, but just doing these dumb jokes throughout the entire movie. And, obviously I love Scream 2022, but, this movie goes through that, parodies it all, while also parodying other horror movies. But I also will sit here and say that it probably would have worked better if it released then, even though I had a good time. So, like I said, comedy is subjective. That's on me. The fact that I liked it, that's on me. If you didn't like it, that's on you. Because all of our senses of humor are extremely different from one another. That's to remember. But I liked it. Big surprise of the year so far. But easily my winner of the month of June, Disclosure Day, the new Steven Spielberg movie. Now, there are things I wasn't the biggest fan of in this movie, but there are also things that I loved. The cast is great. Obviously, you got Josh O'Connor, Emily Blunt, Coleman Domingo. This is a stacked cast from start to finish. Right? Everybody is great. Emily Blunt's giving an outstanding performance. Wyatt Russell in this movie was the comedic relief, and I thought he was quite funny. Josh O'Connor is Josh O'Connor, so obviously he's great. The cast is great. It's a Steven Spielberg movie, so of course the cinematography, the score, the vibe of this movie gives off classic summer blockbuster Spielberg vibes. And as a massive Spielberg fan, that's what I wanted. Like, I went in from the very first scene, I felt like I was in the 90s, watching a 90s alien movie. Now, a lot of people say if this movie released in the 90s, it would be much better, and I somewhat agree, but still, it captured that vibe. The movie's not full of action. There's maybe 2 action set pieces. They're both great. They're both shot well. The movie's sound design, I think, is really good. I really like that. The visuals, the CGI, all looks great. It's a movie that what Steven Spielberg can do is show me an image with the score, and I might not fully understand the image or where it's going, and I can get choked up just a little bit because of the magic of filmmaking. That's what Steven Spielberg means to me, is he's about the magic of filmmaking. That's what I love him for, because it reminds me of how special movies are. Now, the script, not very good. I'm going to be completely honest. The movie constantly makes up rules, so these certain set pieces can happen, and it doesn't really make sense. Like, some of the ideas the movie represented didn't really give us any answers. It was just like, oh, this happened. Why? Because it happened. And overall, I think that the central idea here, the fact of them going to the news, like the whole goal of the movie is to go to the news to give them this hard drive, just leak it on Twitter. It didn't really bother me because I was loving the vibe of this movie in general, but still, it is a little out of its time. But all those problems in and of themselves. I still had a really good time with Disclosure Day. Maybe another watch will make me dislike it. Maybe another watch will make me like it more. But for now, I like Disclosure Day, and it's my favorite of June. Alright, thanks for clicking on this video. House Tour coming real soon. With that said, subscribe.